What it do? This is your brother Bishop of Bishop Zone TV. Let me get right into this. Because right now, we are witnessing the downfall of Drake in real time. While I'm recording this video, at this very moment, Kendrick could be sending a missile right at the Drake empire as I make this video. And this could have been avoided. This all could have been avoided, but I gotta go beyond the diss records and see why a significant amount of people are having a sense of euphoria, no pun intended, at the downfall of Drake. To understand why this is a cultural importance, we need to understand who Aubrey Graham is. So, who is Aubrey Graham? He's a biracial man-child, the son of Sandra Graham and Dennis Graham. Grew up in one of the most wealthiest neighborhoods in all of Toronto, Forest Hill North, which also happens to be a predominantly Jewish community. At the age of 5, his parents divorced. So his life revolved around his household in Toronto. His life consisted of a Jewish household, a predominantly Jewish household, and not only that, but a predominantly Jewish school and community. His connection to Black American culture comes mostly from his admiration for Black music. So it comes from afar, not necessarily direct, because he didn't live those experiences. He didn't have a close relationship throughout his childhood with his father. And this is by Drake's own admission. And I'm not blaming Drake for this. I'm not using that as a crutch against Drake. Drake was a child. He didn't choose his household. He didn't choose where to grow up. You can clearly tell that Aubrey Graham is far removed from Black American culture. I mean, just look at him before he blew up. When he was just Aubrey, he was a kid who was arguing with his mom about sandwiches. Sandwiches, not sandwiches, not sandwiches, but sandwiches. That's how I pronounced it.
Where's my sandwich? I'm so hungry.
I didn't buy you that sandwich.
Why?
Because I bought chicken salad. I'll make you a sandwich. I bought some other things.
Why couldn't you just got me that sandwich?
Because the lineup was incredible.
Aubrey was the same kid who snuck his Grammy a couple of chocolates. Hey, Grammy, you look out for me. Slide you a couple chocolate pieces. No, you're not supposed to have that, but I love you, Grammy. This is also the same Aubrey who thought it was a good idea to wear blackface at a photo shoot for an up-and-coming clothing brand. That's Aubrey Graham. But Drake is something different. Drake?
Drake? Drake? The nigga that got bodied by Pusha T? The nigga that hiding his kid from the world, but his world wanna hide from the kid? Aubrey Graham in the wheelchair? Drake?
Yeah. Drake is something different. Drake is a brand. Drake is a machine. Drake is a parasite. Drake is the embodiment of everything that's wrong with the current state of hip-hop. And while Drake didn't start out like that when he debuted with his breakout mixtape, So Far Gone, he would eventually grow into one of the most successful culture vultures we've seen since Elvis. And yeah, I said it. And look, we've seen the evolution or the de-evolution of Drake to come to this conclusion. We've seen him. We saw how he started out in peacoats with autumn backgrounds. And now he looks like a Compton, North Memphis, Jerry curl hustling thug with a grill and all that in his mouth and rollers in his hair. We've seen this transformation of Drake. And this is all at the age of 37. Aubrey has lost himself in the Drake persona. He's a stripper-obsessed mob-ties villain who will snatch your woman or your little sister at the drop of a dime. Drake has maintained a level of success many have never achieved in hip-hop before, and I believe he learned a lot of that from Jay-Z. He's even surpassed his mentor Lil Wayne at this point, and a lot of that is due to how he reinvents himself. And that's in large part because of the state of hip-hop. Right now, and this has been this way for quite some time now, it's completely commercialized. And Drake has been able to capitalize off that commercialization age of hip-hop. And just think about that for a second. Milli Vanilli's career was ruined in 1990 when their song skipped during a performance, a live performance. When people found out that their vocals wasn't theirs, their career was over with. That was in 1990. That same year, Vanilla Ice appeared on Arsenio Hall's show, where Arsenio Hall, rightfully so, dragged him. He dragged him about his manufactured origin story to appeal to a black audience, to validate his position in hip hop. And that led to the downfall of Vanilla Ice. And nobody blinked an eye. There wasn't a group of black people or artists that championed and rallied behind Vanilla Ice after that interview. Because Arsenio Hall was speaking for a lot of people then. It was accepted. Vanilla Ice just pretty much vanished into the dust. And that was that. But fast forward now to pre-Euphoria. And despite Drake having ghostwriters, despite his weird relationships with minors, and just his overall corny persona outside of the mic, Drake was still considered one of the top rappers in hip-hop today. But now that's unraveling. Kendrick right now is speaking for a lot of people who have criticized Drake for his cosplaying of African-American culture. And I'm talking degenerate African-American culture. I'm not talking about African-American culture in its entirety, because it's not just one type of cultural reference you can pin us on. We're not a monolith, but he's clearly appropriating a subset culture of black people that doesn't sit right with a lot of people, especially considering who he is. Again, this has nothing to do with him being biracial. That's not what it's about. But it's because he's foreign to a world he embodies so much to appeal to a black audience. And we know he's foreign to it just by some of his missteps involving race. Let's take, for instance, the interview with Rap Radar, when he says this.
But that line is just me speaking to the other side of things, which is like, sometimes like, some of like my blackest friends can be just as cruel on the other end, by making you feel excluded, or making you feel like you can't get in on this. and sometimes I do feel like if, sometimes I don't feel celebrated when I know maybe somebody else would be celebrated for those accomplishments, Yeah. I don't feel like people say when Drake is the artist of the decade, I don't think anybody says, wow, a black artist is the artist of the decade. I don't think anybody says that, really. I never heard anybody say that in the last few weeks. And I associate I associate myself as a black man. So for me, it's sometimes it's something that I just acknowledge and I just keep it moving. But
some of my blackest friends can be just as cruel. My blackest friends. I know somebody else will be celebrated for those accomplishments. I associate with being black. This is what this man says. Some of my blackest friends. He associates with being black. Drake is talking about black exclusion because he's biracial. He's saying that even the blackest of black folks, even his black peers, will exclude him from secret handshakes and cultural cachets, as Kendrick stated in Meet the Grams, which makes Drake feel not as celebrated in black spaces. That's what I got from that interview. Now, I'll admit I'm not biracial, so I'm not going to downplay experiences biracial people go through in predominantly black spaces. But with Drake, this might have less to do with him being biracial and more so of who he is outside of the mic. Maybe his peers don't respect him because of the blackface he puts on when he steps in the booth. Because, be honest, how can we celebrate someone when he has lyrics such as this? And my father living in Memphis now, he can't come this way over some minor charges and child support that just wasn't paid. Damn, boo-hoo, sad story. Black American dad story. This man said Black American dad story. I'm trying to understand the context of sad story, Black American dad story. Do you understand that? Like, who the hell says that? I've heard plenty of records with rappers talking about their frustrations with their dad while their dad didn't show up. But they never said Black American dad or my black ass dad. You know, it's weird to hear that. But again, you know, I understand he's biracial. He comes from Canada, a different country. It's just kind of weird to me. It is different. And also, when he said this line on the record Slime featuring SZA, whipped and chain you like American slaves. Whipped and chain you like American slaves. This is what he said. Like, again, weird, because who says that? I'm not saying that black artists haven't used slave analogies throughout their raps that are gross and very distasteful. There have been plenty of ignorant ass black rappers who have done that type of shit before. But with that line, it's like, why did you specify American? Like, and why did you use that line in the first place? And then again, it's just American slaves. Like, if you did the song with Rihanna, would you say Caribbean slaves? I'm not. That's weird to me. Again, he's far removed. He's foreign from the American black culture, the American black experience, and it's showing throughout his lyrics, throughout some of his missteps, throughout his career and throughout his life. And then there's the record, and then there's this line that he recently dropped in Family Matters where he was dissing Kendrick, where he states, always rapping like you about to get the slaves free. You just acting like an activist. It's make-believe. Always rapping like you about to get the slaves free. What? Like, again, you proved Kendrick's point. It's weird. It shows a clear disconnect between Drake and his largely black audience. I mean, he's gotten pushback for that line. Again, there's a pattern here. See, people assume Kendrick was insulting Drake because he was mixed. But no, that wasn't the case. No one questions J. Cole on his background. No one does that. It's because J. Cole comes off as authentic while Drake comes off inauthentic. And look, I understand his father is a black American. I get that, but that doesn't give him a pass to parade around and embody the stereotypical caricatures of black culture. That doesn't give him the right. I can understand him making this connection with black people and black Americans since his dad is black American. I mean, that is a part of who he is. I'm not saying it isn't because his dad is a black American. But then again, you didn't know that subset culture of degeneracy to embody it and then profit off of it and sell it to the masses. That's the problem. That's the issue. I mean, just look at Kanye West and hell, look at Kendrick Lamar. These are two rappers that literally grew up in predominantly black areas with rough reputations. Kanye West grew up on the south side of Chicago. Kendrick Lamar grew up in Compton. Yet both artists never claimed to be street or mob ties. None of them, neither one of them has flirted with street influenced lyrics. And considering where they grew up at, they could very well do that. I resonated with Good Kid, Mad City and Kanye West when he first came out because I wasn't a gangster. I wasn't street. But I grew up down the street from housing projects. My household was middle class black American family. Did not mean I was completely foreign to the idea of the streets, to the idea of gangsters, hustlers, and killers and anything of that nature. Like, I grew up with some for real killers and drug dealers. Eventually they will grow up into that. They didn't start out like that. But some of these people that I grew up, that I went to school with, because I had no choice, because you go to school in the neighborhood that you live in. But I knew that world, but I wasn't involved in that world because of my upbringing, my background. You don't have to rap like that. I mean, goddamn, Drake should be rapping like Lil Dicky, not Freeway Ricky. That's the problem. Drake isn't the first or the last to do this in hip hop, but he is the biggest star to put on a modern day blackface. And the people's response to Kendrick slaughtering Drake is signifying a turning point in black culture. It's almost as if Drake is the Death Star and his empire is starting to see real significant impact. We are witnessing the downfall of Drake in real time. Look, by no means am I declaring that Drake's career is over and done with. Drake's success in this industry, especially as long as he's had success, is pretty much sketched in stone. You're not going to be able to take that away from him. But the brand, the machine, is starting to show some rust. It is starting to bleed. It is starting to show cracks in the foundation that is Drake. No matter how invested the music industry is into Drake, and it very much is invested, again, this man is a machine. He's a brand. He makes a lot of people money. But the people have spoken. And with the emergence of Kendrick in this battle, it's showing that, yes, the people are choosing who they want to be the victor over the industry's choice. This speaks volume. This speaks volumes. This is deeper than a beef. This moment right here is of great cultural importance. And I'm just glad to be in it in real time. I know that seems harsh because Drake is a human being. But again, he embodies everything that is wrong with hip hop right now. And he's very successful at it. That's not me hating, but it just is what it is. And if you feel some kind of way, then you have to really question, why are you so strung out over a man who makes some questionable choices at minors' expense? Groomer! All right, with that said, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. And until next time, holla.